You are welcome to the sixth edition of the episode When Your Loved One Dies. Today we are going to talk about factors affecting your grief. Sarah Nyende is the presenter again. Please feel free to listen, share this information to the person who may have lost a loved one and may need some help, some support to overcome, to manage the pain. There's a time that I faced the saddest point of life when I was told to break the news of a loss of loved ones. I was in my office and I was called that I had to break the news of what had happened to a person who had lost both the husband and the son. It was not an easy experience. The father of the son went to pick the son from school, and while they were going back home, they were involved in a motor accident. And the father, the man, passed away, and the son also passed away. And now it was my responsibility to tell the wife that she had lost both the husband and the son. And that was not a very simple task. I had to call the person. I went to the person's place and then I found she was putting on a short dress, just doing her own thing. It was during the day. And I told her, "Are you okay?" "Yes, I am fine." I told her, "I have some message which is not very good, but I would like you to dress up in a fairly simple way, better than the way you are dressing now." And the person said, "Why should I change?" I said, "Please, for purposes of the message that I have, I allow me to convince you that you have to dress better than you are dressing now." So the person was good enough, went and dressed in a fairly longer dress, and then came back excited to listen to the news. And then I asked her, "Where is your husband?" Said, "The husband has gone to pick my son from school." And I said, "Have you talked to the husband, or when did you last hear from them?" He said, "Unfortunately, from the time I think they should have been here because normally it takes about 30 minutes. I'm only wondering why they are not yet here. And I called the phone and somehow nobody is picking it. Probably he's driving." And then I said, "I'm going to tell you some bad news, but let's pray." So we had some time of prayer, but not knowing exactly what to do, but I had to pray for guidance. And then I told her that the husband has been involved in a car accident, and unfortunately it was a fatal accident. Even when I said it was a fatal accident, she did not pick it that probably the husband had died. Said, "So where is he?" Said, like I said, the accident was fatal, and he has been taken to the hospital, but not in the hospital. He has been taken by police. And then he's still saying, "Where is he?" Then I said, the husband has died." I said, "So where is my son?" Because after breaking the news of the death, but even then he was still not understanding it. I said, "Okay, if you're talking about the husband getting involved in a fatal accident, probably he has died. But where is my son?" And then I said, "The son is not also in good condition." It was a challenging situation, but later she did not accept. She did not understand. She said, "Now I have to go. Where are they?" And then we had to dress up. and we were telling her that, but where is my son? And later we had to tell her straight that both the husband and the son have passed away. But she did not accept. She said, I have to first see the car. I want to see the bodies. Where are they? And with the support, we took the person to the venue and to the place. And I'm telling you, that was the saddest experience. One of the saddest experience I have ever experienced with death and with grief. The woman became so disorganized because it was a challenge. Challenge is, crying for the husband, but at the same time crying for the son. So we are looking at the factors that affect grief. The pain for the loss of our loved one can be really intense, full of sadness. One may lose appetite, may lose sleep, may fail to walk, may even fail to work, may end up very disorganized. One of the factor is when you have multiple death, when you have lost many people at the same time. I've seen people who have lost 4, 5 people at the same time, like 4 people getting involved in an accident, and then all of them are family members, brothers, sisters, and many other people. So this situation can affect how somebody grieves, because this was challenging, grieving for the husband, grieving for the son. And at the burial ceremony, we had to have 2 coffins, one for the husband and one for the son. I can't imagine the the sadness, the pain that my friend was going through. And when we went for burial, we had to do 2 graves. Now we had to start with we had to do the burial of the son first, and then later the burial of the husband. So all these determine the grieving period, and how the person goes through pain. So this person had uh, needed a lot of help, a lot of support, because not only did the person lose the husband, but also lost the child. So the factors that determine grief may involve how many people have died at the same time. Another factor that may determine how we grieve is the age of the deceased. How old was our loved one? Sometimes when we lose children, we have a lot of pain because we did not see the full potential of the child. We were expecting a lot. There's a lot that you see in the child when he's still young, and you think you want to see how the child will grow. And so the pain may come because, some people may say, after all, it was a child. They don't mind much because it was a child. I lost my grandmother at the age of 93. It was painful, but we were excited. We are happy that we had lived with this lady for 93 years. And that was good time. We shared a lot. We had all the stories, all the conversation. And actually, at the burial ceremony, we were saying it is a celebration of life. It is a thanksgiving ceremony because we had lived to see the person through the prime years up to the senior years. So when you lose the loved one, the age of the person who has died also may determine your intensity of pain, the how you grieve, and then the pain that you go through. Then the nature of death. The nature of death also determines how we grieve. There are those people who have lost their loved ones because of suicide. Now you just wake up and then your person has committed suicide. One, it hurts. What happened? What did I do? What didn't I do? Why didn't the person share probably the problem that she or he had? So for the people who commit suicide, they leave questions in our heads. What happened? What did we do? Sometimes they leave messages, but sometimes you just they don't have anything written. And so it is a challenging story, whether written or not. Still, the nature of death, like suicide, car accidents, murder, and all those determine the level of grief that we go through. I told you in my first episode that my father was shot dead, was murdered, and it was mistaken identity. That alone annoys. Why is it that you have to shoot a person dead and then you have not even known the person you are shooting? So all those factors may bring about anger, shame, and may determine the level at which we grieve. Then another factor that may determine the level of grief is the closeness of death. We have some people who lose people and loved ones, and you find that before you heal from the loss of the wife, you have lost a son, you have lost a grandchild. And so the closeness, you find like somebody lost a sister in January, and then they say the person has lost a father in March, and is losing another one in April. So you find that the closeness of the death also determines how we go through the grief. But it doesn't matter. It may be like it has taken years. Sometimes you lost a sister 5 years ago, and then you still lose another sister. Then you lose another brother, or you lose. So usually the grief piles up as you still go through the pain of the loss of your other person or the sister or brother. Now you are losing also a friend or a daughter or a son or even a husband or a wife. So you will find that when you lose one person, it reminds you of the many other losses that you have undergone. All people, the pain may not be the same because of the relationship you had with the person, because of the age, because of other factors, but the pain is there, and sometimes it is accumulated basing on what happened in the earlier deaths. So the closeness of death may determine our level of grieving, and that is another factor. The relationship that we had with the deceased also affect the grieving process. The deeper the love, the deeper the grief. If you loved your husband so much, and so you expect so much pain when the husband goes. If you loved your son, your child, your daughter so much, the deeper the pain. So the closer the relationship, the deeper the pain. Someone who lost a friend may have more pain than probably how he loses his other relative, especially if they have been so close with that other friend. So it is a challenge that sometimes we need to develop those relationships, but also knowing that the deeper the relationship, the deeper the pain. Other factors that determine how we grieve may include the cultural background and the cultural factors around us. How do people treat the dead bodies in your culture? In some of our cultures, when a person dies, may not be buried for weeks. You find somebody skip, the body has to be kept for days, even 2 weeks or 3 weeks before it is buried. And as long as the person is not yet buried, it has some other connotation, some other pain related to it. And so it doesn't mean that there are those who can be burying people immediately the day they die. But even then, it doesn't solve the problem. I'm only saying that the cultures that we have may determine how we grieve. In my culture, when you lose a father, a mother, or a child, as a person who has lost the person, you have to even get involved in the cleaning of the body. I did this when my father died, and we were supposed to do some cleaning of the body. I'm telling you, it is not an easy experience. There are parts you clean as a child, there are parts that the wife cleans, there are parts that the other community may not be allowed at such a time. Usually they bring in people, a few people at a time, and they open particular parts of the body when the person dies. And because of the culture, there's some pain you go through, and you remember the scene, you remember what happened. So those cultural differences may also determine how we grieve. In some other places, you actually don't see the body. You when the person passes on or passes away, the body is taken by either police or the people responsible for the funeral services, and then they treat the body. They bring back the body when the body is dressed, his body is clean, and so on. So their experience of how they go through grief and seeing the, the death process is a bit different. In my culture, you get even involved in digging the graveyard, the grave itself, and making sure that where the body is going to go, the grave is prepared. So all those processes may determine how we grieve and how we go through the pain that when we lose our loved ones. The religious background, the religious beliefs of the person who died may also determine our level of grief. As Christians, we have some joy when we hear that, oh, so and so was saved, had accepted Jesus Christ as the personal Savior. Because with that, we believe that there's resurrection. And so we are happy that we hope to see the person again. You grieve, but with some hope. But when the person has not been a believer, there are those fears that we have, and they also determine the level of pain we go through. Will we be able to see this person again? The person who is not believing in God. What is it like if we have when we get the resurrection? What will happen? So all those factors, the religious beliefs, the cultural beliefs, the age of the person, the multiple death, the nature of death, the relationship you had determine the level of grief. So, what is it that we have to do? Yes, we have to know that our people die. And because we live in this life, this life may end. And when this life ends, we have to go through pain. How do we go through this pain? We need to prepare ourselves psychologically, socially, culturally, spiritually, because how we live this life determines the pain our people will go through when we die. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1 to 4, there are some verses that I want us to read. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 to 4, it says there's time for everything. Everything that happens in this world happens at the time God chooses. He sets the time for birth and the time for death, the time for planting and the time for pulling up, the time for killing and the time for healing, the time for tearing down and the time for building. He sets the time for sorrow and the time for joy, the time for mourning and the time for dancing. When we live in this world, we should know that when people come to this world, the people, time may come and the people will go. And when we are planting, we know there will be harvesting. And when we are dancing, we know there will be time for mourning. So there is time for everything. And so there is time for death. The factors may vary on how we go through death and how we receive the death, but we should always know that death came and death is with us. But the better life we live, the better we can help the people who will be left around to live with joy and peace. So when you are living, please make sure that you build your relationships, love your people, make sure that you do your honesty part, worship your creator, because the life you live before also determines the pain that the people will go through when you die. So I pray that the Lord helps us, that we manage our lives responsibly, and when we lose our loved one, we should know that there's time for everything, and the Lord may help us to manage our lives and to give us courage to stand even when we lose our loved ones. May the Lord help us. Please share this information because it may help one person who has lost a loved one, or it may help us when we lose our loved ones. May the Lord bless you.